The research facility stood silent, nestled deep within the mountains of Colorado. Soft blue lights flickered across computer screens, casting long shadows across the laboratory. Dr. Elena Kim sat alone, her fingers hovering over a complex holographic display that showed intricate mathematical equations and quantum mechanical models. For years, scientists around the world had laughed at her theories. The concept of faster-than-light travel seemed like a dream, a fantasy that belonged in science fiction novels. But Elena knew something others didn't. She understood that the universe held secrets waiting to be unlocked, and humanity was closer to breaking through than anyone realized. Her team had been working in secret, funded by a special government program that believed in pushing the boundaries of human understanding. Most researchers thought they were chasing an impossible goal. Faster-than-light travel went against everything known about physics. The mathematical barriers seemed insurmountable. Elena remembered the countless nights she spent reviewing data, running simulations and challenging every single assumption about space and time. Her colleagues had called her crazy, but she remained determined. Something in the quantum mechanics calculations suggested a loophole that everyone else had missed. The laboratory was quiet except for the gentle hum of advanced computing systems. Screens displayed complex graphs and numerical sequences that would look like gibberish to most people. But to Elena, they were a roadmap to something revolutionary. Captain David Park entered the room, his military background evident in his precise movements. He carried a thermos of coffee and placed it next to Elena's workstation. They had been working together for months, combining scientific theory with practical engineering challenges. "Any progress?" David asked, his voice calm and steady. Elena didn't look up from her screens. "We're close. The quantum compression algorithms are showing promising results. If my calculations are correct, we might have found a way to manipulate space-time at a fundamental level." Most scientific teams would have given up years ago. The challenges seemed impossible. Traditional physics suggested that nothing could travel faster than light. Einstein's theories had been gospel for decades, but Elena and her team were not interested in what was believed to be impossible. The breakthrough came from an unexpected combination of quantum mechanics and gravitational theory. By creating a localized space-time bubble, they discovered a method to compress and expand space around a spacecraft, effectively allowing movement faster than light without technically breaking the speed of light barrier. David watched as Elena's fingers moved across the holographic interface, adjusting variables and running complex simulations. Her dedication was unlike anything he had seen before. Where others saw walls, she saw challenges to be conquered. The computer system began running an advanced simulation. Thousands of potential scenarios played out in milliseconds, testing the theoretical drive's capabilities. Most would fail, but Elena knew that even a single successful scenario could change everything. Suddenly, the main screen flickered. A series of green lines indicated a successful simulation, something that had never happened before. Elena's breath caught in her throat. She double-checked the results, her hands trembling slightly. "David," she whispered, "I think we've done it." The simulation showed a spacecraft moving through a compressed space-time bubble, effectively traveling vast distances in mere moments. The mathematical models were sound, the physics checked out. What had been considered impossible was now looking very possible. Outside the research facility, the Colorado mountains stood silent, unaware that inside this building, humanity was about to change everything we knew about space travel. The quantum drive simulation represented more than just a technological breakthrough. It was a testament to human curiosity and determination. Elena and David looked at each other, understanding the magnitude of what they had discovered. This wasn't just a scientific achievement. This was humanity's ticket to exploring the stars, to breaking free from the limitations that had confined us to a single planet. The quantum drive simulation continued to run, each moment revealing more about the potential of their discovery. Humanity was about to take its first real step into becoming a true spacefaring civilization. Little did they know how this moment would change everything, not just for Earth, but for every civilization in the galaxy. The Interstellar Council, Chamber was a massive circular room designed to accommodate representatives from dozens of alien civilizations. Holographic displays flickered with continuous data streams, and translation devices hummed softly in the background. The room felt cold, both in temperature and in atmosphere. Ambassador Rook stood at the center, his crystalline body reflecting light in complex patterns. He was known throughout the galaxy as a diplomatic powerhouse, representing the Vex Nara, a species that had dominated technological discussions for centuries. His species had long considered themselves the most advanced civilization in known space. When the human delegation entered, the entire chamber went silent. Humans were considered a young, almost primitive species by most alien standards. Their technology was seen as basic, their understanding of the universe limited. No one expected anything significant from them. Captain David Park led the team, walking with a confidence that seemed out of place among the more elaborately dressed alien representatives. Beside him stood Dr. Elena Kim, her eyes scanning the room with quiet intensity. They carried no fancy equipment, no complex technological displays, just a simple data pad and an unwavering determination. Rook's translator crackled to life. "The human delegation will now present its proposal," he said, his tone dripping with condescension. The other alien representatives leaned forward, expecting another amusing presentation from the young species. "We have a technological breakthrough that will change everything we know about space travel," David said simply. No dramatic gestures, no complicated scientific language. Just a straightforward statement that seemed almost naive to the alien representatives. The Xyrillian representative, a being composed of interconnected quantum computational nodes, began calculating the probability of the human's claims. Historical lay. Data suggested a 99.9998% chance that this would be another failed presentation. Elena stepped forward. Her presentation was different from typical scientific discussions. Instead of complex mathematical formulas, she used simple diagrams and clear explanations. She spoke about how they had discovered a way to compress space-time, creating a bubble that would allow faster-than-light travel. Most alien scientists in the room began laughing. The concept was so ridiculous that it seemed like a joke. Faster-than-light travel had been proven impossible thousands of years ago by the most advanced civilizations. Mathematical barriers were clear and unchangeable. "Impossible," muttered the quantum computational representative, its neural networks already dismissing the human claims. But Elena wasn't finished. She introduced a small holographic model that showed their theoretical quantum drive. The model was simple, almost elegant in its design. Where other species created complex machines with thousands of interconnected parts, the human design was surprisingly straightforward. David activated a short video demonstration. The room went completely silent. The video showed a simulation of their quantum drive in action, compressing and expanding space-time in a way no one had ever seen before. The Vex Nara representatives stopped laughing. The Xyrillian computational nodes began recalculating. Something was different about this presentation. Rook leaned forward, his crystalline body suddenly very still. The mathematical models in the human presentation were challenging everything his civilization believed about space travel. It wasn't just a theory, it was a practical solution. "We request a live demonstration," David said calmly. The chamber erupted in discussions. Live demonstrations were rarely granted, especially to a species considered technologically juvenile. But something about the human presentation had created a spark of curiosity. Elena and David exchanged a quick glance. They knew what they were about to do would change everything. Not just for humans, but for every civilization in the galaxy. The Interstellar Council would vote soon, and nothing would ever be the same again. Humanity was about to show the universe that being underestimated was sometimes the greatest advantage of all. The room buzzed with tension, uncertainty, and the first hint of a technological revolution that would rewrite everything known about space travel. The USS Horizon sat quietly in the massive space station's primary docking bay. From a distance, the ship looked almost too simple to be revolutionary. Its sleek design was unlike the complex, over-engineered vessels of other alien civilizations. Clean lines and smooth surfaces gave it an almost minimalist appearance. Captain David Park walked around the ship, checking final preparations. Dr. Elena Kim monitored the quantum drive systems, her fingers moving quickly across holographic interfaces. Hundreds of alien scientists and diplomats watched through reinforced observation windows, expecting another human failure. The space station itself was a marvel of alien engineering, a massive structure that had hosted diplomatic meetings for centuries. Massive viewing platforms allowed representatives from multiple civilizations to observe the demonstration. Sensors and recording devices were positioned at every possible angle. "Systems are ready," Elena announced, her voice calm and steady. David nodded. They both understood the weight of this moment. Years of research, countless sleepless nights, and massive financial investments had led to these few minutes. The quantum drive began to hum. It was a soft sound at first, almost like a distant whisper. Then the hum grew stronger, vibrating through the entire docking bay. Alien sensors began tracking unusual energy signatures that didn't match any known technological patterns. Space around the USS Horizon started to ripple. It wasn't a dramatic effect like in movies. Instead, it was a subtle compression, almost too slight to notice at first. The ship seemed to blur slightly, its edges becoming less defined. Quantum sensors went crazy, recording data that challenged everything known about space-time manipulation. Ambassador Rook watched in disbelief. The Vexnara computational systems were struggling to process what they were seeing. Mathematical models that had been considered absolute were crumbling in real time. The humming grew louder. The rippling became more pronounced. For a brief moment, the USS Horizon seemed to exist in multiple locations simultaneously, a quantum state that defied traditional understanding of space and time. Then, in less than a heartbeat, the ship vanished. Complete silence filled the observation deck. Alien representatives looked at each other in shock. Their most advanced tracking systems showed nothing. No energy signature, no movement, no trace of the human vessel. Seconds passed, then minutes. Suddenly, sensors across the entire space station lit up. The USS Horizon reappeared, but not where it had been. It was now several light years away, having traveled an impossible distance in what seemed like an instant. The demonstration was perfect. Clean, undeniable. Xerillian computational nodes began rapid calculations. Their systems tried to understand how the humans had achieved what was supposed to be mathematically impossible. Complex algorithms crashed and reset, unable to comprehend the new data. Elena's voice came through the communication systems, calm and matter-of-fact. Quantum drive. Demonstration complete. Total travel distance 3.7 light-years. Duration 0.0003 seconds. No fancy speeches, no dramatic declarations, just a simple statement of fact. The alien representatives looked at each other. Everything they knew about space travel, about the fundamental laws of physics, had just been challenged by a species they had considered technologically primitive. David and Elena watched the reactions from inside the ship. They understood this was more than a technological demonstration. This was a moment that would reshape human understanding of space exploration. The USS Horizon had just proven that faster-than-light travel was not only possible but achievable, through a surprisingly simple approach. Where other civilizations had built complex machines and developed intricate theories, humans had found an elegant solution. In that moment, humanity's place in the galaxy changed forever. Not with a war, not with a grand declaration, but with a quiet revolutionary demonstration that would be remembered for generations. The universe would never be the same again. The news spread faster than the quantum drive itself. Within hours, every scientific institution across known space buzzed with the human breakthrough. Alien research centers became chaos, with scientists frantically reviewing data and challenging established theories. Dr. Vreen, the lead Xyrillian scientific researcher, stared at his computational screens in complete disbelief. Thousands of years of scientific understanding were collapsing in real time. His quantum network struggled to process the implications of the human demonstration. "This is impossible," he muttered, running the simulation again and again. The human quantum drive challenged everything. Where alien civilizations had created complex mathematical models explaining why faster-than-light travel couldn't exist, humans had simply found a way around those limitations. It wasn't about breaking the rules. It was about understanding them differently. Research facilities across multiple planets began attempting to replicate the human technology, but each attempt failed. The human approach was unique, so simple yet so revolutionary that traditional scientific methods couldn't comprehend it. Elena Kim's research papers became the most downloaded scientific documents in galactic history. Universities and research centers fought for access to her original calculations. Her approach was elegant, challenging established scientific paradigms with practical solutions. The economic implications were massive. Space travel, which had been expensive and time-consuming, was about to become as simple as driving a car. Entire industries would transform overnight. Trade routes that once took decades could now be traveled in minutes. Alien investment firms began redirecting massive financial resources toward understanding human technological innovations. Where humans were once seen as primitive, they were now viewed as potential technological leaders. Captain David Park found himself receiving diplomatic invitations from civilizations that had previously ignored human existence. Scientific conferences requested detailed explanations of their quantum drive technology. The quantum drive wasn't just a technological breakthrough. It represented a fundamental shift in how civilizations understood space, time, and technological progress. Computational systems across the galaxy worked overtime. Advanced alien networks tried desperately to understand the human mathematical approach. But the solution was so beautifully simple that complex systems struggled to comprehend its elegance. Universities on Earth were overwhelmed. Research funding skyrocketed. Young scientists who had been working on theoretical physics suddenly became global celebrities. The scientific community transformed from a quiet academic world to a dynamic, exciting frontier. Military strategists recognized the potential immediately. Space exploration, colonization, and potential defense systems would be completely reimagined. Distances that once seemed impossible were now achievable in moments. The Interstellar Council held emergency meetings. Diplomatic representatives from various alien civilizations tried to understand how a species they had overlooked had made such a significant breakthrough. "We underestimated humans," Ambassador Rook admitted during one heated discussion. Their approach to problem-solving is fundamentally different. Technological journals published countless analysis papers. Each publication revealed more about the human quantum drive, breaking down its components and exploring its potential applications. Research teams discovered that the human breakthrough wasn't just about faster-than-light travel. It represented a completely new understanding of space-time manipulation. The implications stretched far beyond space exploration. Medical researchers saw potential for instantaneous transportation. Communication networks considered revolutionary data transfer methods. Energy production scientists explored new possibilities for sustainable power generation. The human quantum drive became more than a technological achievement. It was a symbol of human creativity, of the ability to challenge established thinking and find innovative solutions. Young scientists on Earth suddenly saw unlimited possibilities. The boundaries of scientific understanding had been pushed further than anyone had imagined possible. Within weeks, the entire galactic scientific community was transformed. The human demonstration had done what no other civilization had managed. It had completely disrupted established technological understanding. Humanity had just announced its arrival on the galactic stage, not through military might or diplomatic maneuvering, but through pure scientific innovation. The technological revolution had begun, and it was just getting started. The stars looked different now. Where once they represented distant, unreachable points of light, they now seemed like potential destinations. Humanity's quantum drive had transformed how civilizations understood space exploration. Earth changed dramatically. The small blue planet that had once been considered a minor player in galactic politics suddenly became the center of attention. Scientific institutions were flooded with resources, and young researchers saw unprecedented opportunities. Ambassador David Park found himself negotiating with alien civilizations that had previously ignored human existence. Trade agreements, scientific collaborations, and cultural exchanges became daily conversations. Humanity was no longer an afterthought. They were now a key player in galactic interactions. The first human colonies began preparing for expansion. Planets once considered too distant were now potential new homes. Scientists mapped potential settlement routes, calculating travel times that were now measured in minutes instead of decades. Alien civilizations watched carefully. The Vexnara research teams worked day and night, trying to understand the human, technological approach. Their most advanced computational systems struggled to replicate the elegant simplicity of the quantum drive. Dr. Elena Kim became more than a scientist. She was now a symbol of human innovation, invited to speak at conferences across multiple star systems. Her presentations weren't just technical explanations. They were inspiring stories of human creativity and determination. Economic systems transformed overnight. Space mining became suddenly viable. Resources from distant planetary systems could now be transported quickly and efficiently. Companies that had existed for centuries began reimagining their entire business models. Military strategists from various civilizations reassessed their defensive capabilities. The quantum drive wasn't just a transportation technology, it represented a complete revolution in strategic thinking. Boundaries that once seemed secure now felt vulnerable. The Interstellar Council held emergency sessions. Diplomatic representatives tried to understand the full implications of human technological innovation. Some saw opportunity, others felt threatened, but no one could ignore the change. Young people on Earth saw a future filled with possibilities. Space exploration was no longer a distant dream, but an achievable reality. Universities developed new programs focusing on quantum mechanics and space exploration technologies. Communication networks expanded rapidly. The quantum drive wasn't just about physical transportation, it represented a new way of thinking about distance and connection. Information could now travel faster than ever before. Medical researchers discovered potential applications beyond space travel. The understanding of space-time manipulation opened new possibilities for medical treatments, transportation technologies, and energy production. Alien civilizations that had existed for thousands of years found themselves adapting to a new reality. The human approach to problem-solving challenged everything they believed about technological development. Where complex systems had failed, human creativity had succeeded. The first human exploration missions launched. Small research vessels traveled to distant star systems, mapping regions that had been impossible to reach before. Each mission brought back new discoveries, further proving the potential of human innovation. Cultural exchanges became more than diplomatic formalities. Different alien civilizations began to see humanity not as a young, primitive species, but as innovative problem solvers with a unique perspective on technological challenges. Environmental scientists saw new possibilities for planetary restoration. The quantum drive technology suggested new approaches to understanding complex ecological systems and potential terraforming techniques. Global cooperation on Earth reached unprecedented levels. Nations that had previously competed now worked together, recognizing the collective achievement of human scientific innovation. The quantum drive became more than a technological breakthrough. It represented a fundamental shift in how civilizations understood their place in the universe. Humanity had proven that limitations were often just challenges waiting to be solved. Space was no longer a distant, unknown frontier. It became a playground of possibilities with humanity leading the way. The galaxy would never be the same again. And it all started with a simple idea, developed by a team of dedicated scientists who refused to accept that something was impossible. Humanity had arrived. Not with weapons or aggressive expansion, but with pure scientific creativity and an unwavering belief in human potential. The new galactic paradigm had begun,